Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside and Out. Today's topic, what they have to say about you is none of your business. This is going to be an inside look at the painful truth of dealing with the rejection or approval of yourself or others in the negative world of gossip and eavesdropping. This one is a painful subject for me because I'm a very sensitive person when it comes to caring for others. I truly in my heart do not feel that I have an enemy or that there's anybody out there that I hate. There's people out there obviously that have hurt me, but I've chosen to love them no matter what. So this one is a very sensitive topic for me to explore, and so I'm excited to get to it and share it with you. And in order to do this, I thought I'd also take a different approach, and in order to do this, I thought I'd take it over here to the blackboard. So let's just take it over here to the blackboard for a second. There we go. I thought it'd be interesting to look at this topic in three perspectives: the victim, the villain, and the hero. Let's start with the victim. Nobody likes to be gossiped about. Nobody likes to be singled out or picked on. It hurts. One of the main reasons is because most of the time it's not true. Other times it's because things are revealed that were put in trust. There's so many reasons why gossip can be very painful to your development and your ability to remain in a good place. But it can only become painful if you're willing to participate in it. Because gossip, whether people realize it or not, gossip is poverty. I like to look at gossip as the language of spiritual poverty. It is literally demonic. And like most demons, all it needs is just a drop. And when it comes to gossip, all somebody needs is just a drop of evidence to make their story believable. Unfortunately, gossip is a lot like conspiracies. It's where somebody reveals enough evidence for you to come to a conclusion that you could both agree on without actually doing a thorough investigation. And that's what's really sad about gossip, is this trying to spread pain. And when you are the victim of gossip, you start to see and hear painful things, and if you absorb it, it's going to affect you, and they are going to do their job and succeed in bringing you down. So the most important thing as a victim to understand is that you cannot participate in them throwing rocks at you. You have to learn how to defend yourself, how to protect yourself. If it's hurting you, that means you are also throwing stones. You have to shield yourself and not even react, not even engage in any shape or form. But also, at that same spectrum, one thing, the understanding, not spectrum, but the understanding of being a victim of gossip is, are you eavesdropping? Because, see, eavesdropping is a thing that is shameful. It's something that you shouldn't be doing. There are things that are none of your business. I mean, you might walk in on a conversation or peep in on a conversation, and they may be talking about you. And but guess what? Some things that people say about you are not always super bad. Even if they sound bad, they're only half as bad as they sound when they're not meant to be in your ears. And that's very important, to stay in your lane. Mind your own business. Even when people are talking about you, mind your own business. Don't worry about it. Do not engage in it at all. Do not eavesdrop. And do not participate in gossip. So now let's take it to the next step. Let's talk about the villain. I think the villain is my favorite, and I feel the most important role to play when looking at things. Because whether we want to admit it or not, most of the time it is our fault. But let's look at the villain here. As far as gossip is concerned, most people who gossip are hurt people. And a lot of times they will criticize others who are close to them, perhaps that have similar interests or similar goals or perform similar tasks that can be comparable to their own lives. And or it could just be a sibling or a friend that you've recently had a disagreement with, or an argument or a fight, and they're venting and letting out energy. And most of the time, when they're doing that, they don't really hate you. They're just pissed off at you right now and wish that you'd get hit by a bus or something. But that doesn't mean that they hate you. It just means that they have built up so many emotions that they're letting it out, and they don't want to let it out with you, because deep down inside, no one really wants to destroy relationships. We all know that we're connected, and we all know that we love each other. So it's not them that's necessarily the ones driving the gossip. It's that envy. It's that drop we're talking about. It's that demonic force, that negativity, that person that makes that energy that makes the person look at themselves, judge themselves in a negative way, and then start to point the finger and ask everybody to aim their stones in a certain direction because they want to throw stones. But the truth is, they are tired of throwing those stones at themselves, and they would feel better about throwing those stones and putting their hands in their pocket, and we've all done it. And don't say that we haven't. We may not be the knitting circle of gossipers, but we've said things that we did not mean in the presence of others that should not have heard it, because they may judge that person based off of what we said. Like, for example, I could, as a child, gotten in a huge fight with my brother or something like that, and then came up to some friends and like, "What's up? How are you and your brother?" "Oh, fuck my brother. I'm pissed off at him. I don't like him. I can't stand him." And then those people that have never met my brother will be like, "Well, apparently he's not cool." And then all of a sudden, it's affected and changed everything based off of one day that I was arguing with my brother, where the very next day everybody's like, "Oh, I thought you hated your brother." "No, I love my brother, man. He just helped me out. We just, sometimes we just have energy that we're letting out, and we say things, and they'll be very mean. And another negative thing about gossip, being a villain of gossip, is, and this is one that I'm more of, I think, than the one spreading gossip, and that is the one listening to gossip. What do you do when you hear this stuff? Because if you're participating in it, you're just doing nothing but playing hot potato with this demonic force, this negative energy of gossip, hate, and cursing on others. That's all you're doing, is participating in it. If you were a friend or a relative and you were there participating in the gossip and mockery of somebody, and what does that say about you? Are you sticking up for them? Are you laughing along with them just to be included with the others? Or are you sticking up, for the person and walking away from it? Or are you being 50-50, which I think is the truest thing, finding the part that they're saying that is true, and either agreeing or disagreeing, and also revealing your own experiences. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, Jason is an asshole, but, that was yesterday. He was a little bit stinkier than he normally is. He's normally not like that. Stuff like that, And eavesdropping, as far as being a villain is concerned, I think that's one of the worst things a villain can do, is to listen in on conversations, especially when they're talking about the truth of others that should not be revealed, and then taking those truths to purposely put it out there, because when they put those truths out there, they know it's very, very hard for a person that's even trying not to engage in gossip not to be hurt by those truths revealed. And that is a very evil thing to do to somebody, and it's definitely something that you do not want to have coming back to you. No one wants to be stoned, and no matter what it is that you're feeling, you can let it out. I have this thing that I like to call emotional Tourette's. I will just spat out the most shit. And that's why I try my hardest to live a solitude life where I can get out in the middle of nowhere and just let it all go. Because if it came out in the form of gossip, I would be a horrible person. I would not be able to live with myself. So I know that there is some form of importance to letting out the energy, but how you let it out, I think, is the most important thing. And that is, the lesson to be learned is that if you were a gossiper, you were a self-criticizer who was not engaging in the reality that you're not doing self-work. So I think that is the lesson with the villain perspective. So now let's go to the hero. To be a hero of gossip, that means to never fall. And to never fall, the only way you can do that is to not participate. The moment that you give power, you lose your power. When you start to participate and engage, you are no longer minding your own business. You are minding the business of others, and you are now entertaining negativity and evil. And one of my favorite examples of this, who I think proved to be a very good hero when it came to gossip, was something that happened in the 80s with a very, very famous person named Michael Jackson. And I know a lot of people remember this. When we were children, we noticed that Michael Jackson was performing greatly and his sister Janet Jackson was performing greatly, but we never seen them perform together. So there was a rumor, gossip, that was started and created saying that Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson were the same person, and that's why you never see them at the same time. Well, we had a little bit of evidence there. No one had ever seen them at the same time. So whether we believed it to be true or not, we love to entertain that gossip. And so that was a story spread. I think it was originally created because Michael Jackson was known and perceived as being a very sensitive person, and I think people were hoping that he would react in a way and be upset about this. But Michael Jackson never ever responded. And years went by. I mean, years went by. And finally there was a ceremony where both Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson were there at the same time. And that was the moment of truth. That was the moment where the evidence that everybody had shared has now been revealed. And Michael Jackson just leaned into the mic and said, "See, yes, we truly are two different people." And it just crushed that whole rumor, and it proved what it takes to be a hero of gossip. You cannot let it bother you, and the only way you cannot let it bother you is to not participate. Michael Jackson didn't have time for that, but he did have time to bust everybody's tail by proving that they were dumbasses for believing that, and I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was a way to go, Michael Jackson. Well, I thank you guys so much for today's episode. And like I said, I was just experimenting with looking at this from 3 different perspectives. And I look forward to talking with everybody soon. Thank you again so much.